Should you buy Bitcoin? It's always best to take advice from a person you can blindly believe in regarding this. And who better to inform us in detail about the subject than the one and only Robert Kiyosaki? If you want to know his take on whether or not to invest in Bitcoin, make sure to stay with us until the end of the video. Hello, future billionaires. Welcome to Stock Investing 101, the channel where you get stock inspiration, motivation, and knowledge to become the next future billionaire. If you'd like to stay up to date with the best and latest content about stocks and entrepreneurship, then make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave a like on this video. There is so much to talk about Bitcoin recently.
What would you say to that? So somebody says Bitcoin's going to 100,000. Why would you say that's a bad idea or you wouldn't touch it?
Cryptocurrencies have taken the world by storm. Entrepreneurs everywhere have different opinions of it. Some encourage others to invest or buy into Bitcoin, while some discourage them by warning them about the possibilities of a crash.
Bitcoin is better than currency in that you don't have to be physically in the same place.
Bitcoin is clearly one of the biggest means of investment today. It's expected to overcome and beat so many other assets in the financial industry. This is why a lot of people see it as an opportunity to invest as much as they can into Bitcoin now before it's too late. Cryptocurrencies are now the new trend, and it's more common to make money transactions online than pay with actual cash. At the pace at which the world is moving towards online currencies, it's obvious that sooner or later, we are definitely going to reach a time when the dollar wouldn't be worth as much as having cryptocurrencies. The time has finally come when we can begin to expect a crash of the dollar. Soon, instead of calculating your worth based on the stacks of dollars you own, it would instead be estimated by the amount of gold, silver, or other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin that you own. Robert Kiyosaki explains why it's more important to own gold and silver than owning US dollars in an awe-inspiring way that gives us a good insight into his mind. He does so by telling it through his very own story of how he learned to buy gold and silver. When Robert was just a 17-year-old high schooler, he began collecting silver, and by silver, he would collect dimes and other coins of silver. Just like a high school kid wouldn't know much about it, Robert didn't know its worth either. Robert Kiyosaki was into golf as a kid. He would play golf while also take up odd jobs to assist the other golf players on the field. He had a caddy job at the golf course, which paid him a small amount of pocket money. Robert would use this pocket money and exchange it at the banks for a bunch of silver dimes. Had he preserved them until today, they would have been worth so much money owing to the rise in prices for bulk silver. He continued to exchange his caddy money for a better collection of dimes for almost an entire year. Little did he know that this could make a fortune in the future. Anyway, there was another thing Robert always had in mind about receiving and exchanging money this way. He could tell the fake coins apart from the ones that were genuine. Unfortunately, all of his saved up bulk silver didn't last very long. After high school, Robert was sent to do his higher studies in New York. On his vacation back home, he found out that his mother had spent nearly all of that money. Soon after, when he was about to go to Vietnam, he was warned by his dad about how the dollar was getting devalued. It was in 1971 that France gained $191 million, and it was somewhere around the same time that the United States Congress issued a recommendation of devaluing the dollar. This was done in order to protect the dollar from people who would exploit others with unreasonable pricing, a term referred to as price gouging. This is what led to a rise in the importance of gold. On his way to Vietnam, Robert and his co-pilot noticed a gold mine and decided to stop by it to purchase some gold. Back then, gold was something that the Americans were not very familiar with. The reason that gold was strange or foreign to them was because back in the early years, Americans were forbidden from even owning gold. They stopped by the mine to bargain with the woman, but no matter how much they negotiated with her, she wasn't ready to give them a deduction in price. It's fair to say that this woman may have been illiterate. She definitely knew how much gold was worth compared to the buyers. Luck was not on their side, and they didn't buy from her, but later, Robert got his very first gold coin at a price of $50 from Hong Kong. Today, that coin is worth at least $2,000 in price. This is precisely why he encourages saving gold and silver rather than dollars, because dollars are not something you can fully put your trust in. We never know what the future holds. We can only prepare ourselves for it. Bitcoin is but another alternative, like saving up gold or silver instead of dollars. As soon as Nixon took the dollar off of the gold standard, it turned into a sham. The dollar shouldn't be valued as real money, but the system is so common for us to save paper cash, which is why it sounds almost strange to invest in substances like gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Investing money into your savings accounts or in your banks may have been sensible back in the earlier years, but that's not the case today.
People say, well, I'll sell you goods in Bitcoins, but they change the price of those every time the price of the dollar changes in relation to Bitcoin. They're pricing off the dollar.
The difference between the interest rates now and back then, it's like two poles of the earth. Today's interest rates have gone so low that it wouldn't make sense to deposit your money into a savings account, as you could make approximately 2% profit out of it. Nevertheless, the trend goes on. People still encourage others to get money in the form of paper. As soon as the new president took his seat, the number of notes to be printed out have skyrocketed through the roof. Not many people stop to notice how much the dollar has been devalued throughout the years. They are all blinded by saving the usual tendency to put aside paper money for their future.
But in the meantime, there's a big industry around Bitcoin. And people have made fortunes out of Bitcoin. Some people have lost money out of Bitcoin.
It all boils down to who you want to put your faith in. If you find it okay to leave your money matters in the hands of the governments and their chains of banks, like federal banks, United States banks, corporations, and many more, then you can go ahead and save up all the money you want. But if you're not so sure about the dollar and willing to play things on the safer side, it would be wise to save your money in terms of gold, silver, or Bitcoin. One of the biggest strengths when it comes to Bitcoin is that everything about it is online. We don't have to burden ourselves with the thought of transferring substantial money here and there. It's all just digits online. But if it's gold or silver, chances are there'd be more issues with having to tow it around whenever you decide to travel. There's not much to worry about in the case of Bitcoin, as you just have to keep a note of the number of coins you own. A very important and meaningful statement that the businessman Robert Kiyosaki quotes is that the more significant the drop of the US dollar, the more the government decides to print out. The reason for them to do it is because of the falling interest rates. Saving up this kind of unreliable money is probably one of the biggest and most pathetic moves one can make. The scenario for Bitcoin is the exact opposite though. In the case of Bitcoin, the greater the value of each coin, the lesser they decide to print. Speaking of gold and silver, the trend is the same, followed by the dollar, euro, and the yen. This is what makes Bitcoin a more fair means of investment compared to the rest of the three. Now, investing in Bitcoin might not be one of the easiest decisions to make, but one that would prove much more useful and profitable than relying on fake devalued money. And trust us on this, once you decide to invest in Bitcoin, you will find yourself wanting to invest even more into it on noticing how much more commercially successful it can be. A few other notable features to keep in mind about Bitcoin include its peer-to-peer access that doesn't require a mediator's intervention. This solves the problem of fearing scammers and loss of money through other means. Bitcoin is also very easy to access and has much higher liquidity compared to other cryptocurrencies. It's also widely accepted and cuts out or reduces all extra and unnecessary tax payments and transaction fees when making online payments.
So you think Bitcoin's going to cover that? You think silver is going to cover it? You think gold's going to cover that? So as gold goes down, to me, it's a buying opportunity. The same as when Bitcoin crashed, it was a buying opportunity.
So that's it for today's video, guys. Did you find this video valuable, or do you want to add anything? Make sure to let us know in the comment section down below. We are posting a new video every day with the most undervalued stocks in the market right now.